Hi Ronlings. Today I'm in my back garden. If you've watched my other videos, if you haven't, it's on my other videos. Last year I did a hot tent camp. I did it in this back garden as well, because I wanted to just test it out first before I actually went out in it, and it failed miserably. So if you want to have a laugh, check that out. That tent is gone. You'll see why in the video. I stopped using it, and I kind of gave up. I went through the whole winter without bothering with that idea again. But this year I want to try it again, and I started looking in places, Amazon, Temu, Wish and all that lot for tents, and I was just perusing. Wasn't in any particular hurry to get it started yet, because it's not quite winter, it's still in autumn. I mean, I'm outside, I'm still in a t-shirt, so it's still not cold enough to justify it yet, but I thought I just wanted to start the ball rolling. And we're in this garden one night because we pretty much finished. We're landscaping the garden, we pretty much finished it. So we came out here, sat down with the fire going, with some booze, and to sort of celebrate the fact that we're nearly finished, pretty much finished. And one drink became many drinks, and I ended up, without realising it, purchasing a tent. And I didn't remember that. I remember sitting there and looking through the list, but I don't remember actually purchasing it. So I think it's because I was a bit sozzled. And then about 2 days before it was eventually due to arrive, I found out that I'd ordered it. I tried to go on, this is from Temu, I tried to go on Temu, but the product's been discontinued, so I couldn't look at it. I couldn't look at what I bought. It had a tiny little thumbnail on the ordered products, but if you clicked on it, it wouldn't go to that product, and so I don't really know what it looks like. I've got a tiny thumbnail, it doesn't really tell you much, and I don't know what's inside. I don't know anything about it. And the instructions are pretty crude, but it says on there, a dandelion shell tent was designed based on blah 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 blah. So it's calling it a dandelion shell tent. Now, is that the company called Dandelion, or is the company got a model called Dandelion? I don't know. So I'm going to call it Dandelion. On the actual tent itself, it doesn't have any makers' names or marks on it at all. I haven't got the tent out. Maybe there'll be a print on the tent itself, I don't know. I haven't got it out, so you are the first person along with me to see this for the first time. So yeah, I don't know anything about it, or how it works, or how it goes up, or anything. The instructions give you a few pictures, but it's in Chinglish, so some of it doesn't really make much sense. But it's gonna be a hot tent, and I'm going to bring out my little portable log burner. And the reason it's in the garden is it's an experiment. I haven't done hot tent camping yet, so I don't know how much equipment I need, how many logs I need, and so on. I don't want to cut down trees while I'm there. You know, I know people wait for the trees to fall and they cut them. They think it's all right because they're cutting down trees that have fallen. I don't want to do that, because I don't believe that is actually good for the environment either, because those trees then start to rot and become houses and food for bugs and insects and so on, and then the insects in there become food for birds and stuff. And so I think you're still messing with the ecosystem, and I don't believe that's a true leave no space policy if you start cutting down even dead trees. So I'm going to bring the responsibly sourced logs with me, and I don't know how many I need. I don't know how much equipment I need. I don't know if I should still bring a burner with me, because obviously the log burner is also a cooker, and so this is an experiment to see how this all works. And I need to know exactly how much I'm bringing, because I've got a special way to carry it all, because obviously it's not going to fit in my backpack. I've got a special way to carry it all with me, which I'm not going to show you this video. It's going to wait till I actually go and do it, because I've done stuff like this before and then saw other people doing it as well afterwards, and I think, did they just copy me? I don't know. I'm not a very big channel, so not many people's watching it, but it seems coincidentally strange that they're doing it exactly the same time as I am. But anyway, might be nothing to do with that. I'm a small drop in the ocean, nobody cares. So but anyway, just in case, I'm not going to show you how I'm going to transport it all, but it'll be a fun way of doing it. So well, let's just get cracking, shall we? Right, so my initial thoughts externally, I haven't been inside yet, is I actually quite like it. It's a different design to all the other tents I've got, so that in itself is quite interesting. So what we got here, we got the sort of traditional sort of tent style with a nice big flap coming out the side. I actually stopped the time lapse. I got the main tent up. I stopped the time lapse to put all these pegs here to peg the flap out. I like the fact that there's these are solid ridges for the corners, so it has a sort of a solid sort of ridge shape around the edge, which I really like. The middle sags a bit. You know, it requires quite a lot of tension on this end one to pull it out. It has these little holes in the end here, and then one in the other end. I wonder if that's, it doesn't come with one, but I wonder if that's the ability to put like a telescopic one in there to give a ridge, more solid ridge across the top. Although it doesn't come with that, there's only 2 poles, as you might have seen in the time lapse. There's one this end pulling that up, and there's one doing the exact same thing in the other end, and then it requires this tension to pull it out. And it's got 2 doors as well, so it doesn't really matter which way around you put it, they're both the same. There's another door there as well, so it's good that you can go in from both ends. I'm going to go in a minute. It has a floor, a ground sheet for it as well, although it doesn't have a separate like room where you can go inside, but the tent has a mesh for bugs, so the actual tent itself can be cordoned off from bugs, but there's no actual inner tent where, you know, you can sit with the door open and then still keep your bed area dry. So I'm not quite sure how I feel about that, because, you know, you can keep the bugs out if you want to. I've yet to put it on, but there's a, oh, it's around the other side. How awkward, because I don't have a lot of space in the area I can put it up. But here's the bit where you put the there it is. So I've actually got a separate piece of material to this rolls up, and I've actually got a separate piece of material to put over that, which I should do in a minute. And that is that's the same on the last tent as well, the one that failed. Let's see, where is the, so it's in the bag, but they give you a piece of material that you velcro over it, but you have to cut your own hole. I think last time I just did a big cross in the middle and stuck it through the middle. And then there's the ground sheet to put in a minute. My first impressions is it's quite nice. I don't quite understand what this is for at the bottom here. More guy ropes. It's actually attached to the door. And is that so you can guy it open? It doesn't really serve any purpose where it is now. Let's see why you'd guy down the door, because it's not a loop right on the floor, it's actually a guy rope, so you can't loop it directly to the floor. So you have to understand, perhaps you want to do that to sort of secure it to the floor, but it's on a guy rope, but you can't, so if you use that, it will pull the door away from the tent. So I don't quite understand what that's for. So there's a few questions there. Well, let's get inside and I'll put the fly sheet, ground sheet in there. I'm absolutely loving this. The floor is it has a ground sheet, and look at this. That's where the there's the hole for the pipe. They've given you a really thick fireproof patch there for the stove, which I think is brilliant. So it has a ground sheet there. Although it was a bit confusing at first putting it in, because I thought it was supposed to go up the other way. So I was trying to get this patch to be in that corner, because I knew it had to be in that corner. That's where the hole is. Because you look at this floor, there's the tape seams, and it just looked like that's the outside to me in my head. So I was trying to do it out the other way, and I'm thinking, well, I've got to flip it. I've got to flip it. So I'm guessing this is the way it has to be. But you know, the tape seams on the inside. It seems like that's shouldn't be in the inside of the tent. But anyway, I don't know. But you've got this lovely, huge flaps here that you can do up. You get some air in open. You've got one in each corner, and another one over there, which is lovely. As soon as I opened it, I could feel the air coming in. And you've got that ridge, which probably needs to be a bit tighter, but you can just see that's the outside. That's a big lip you've got around the edge of the tent to protect you if you do open these bits, which is nice. There's plenty of headroom, absolutely plenty of headroom. You can't stand up in it. When I stood up in it, I had to bend over a bit. It's a good old size, and this tent is lighter than my Van Gogh Hydra 200 and more compact, and yet this tent is twice the size. So I imagine the hydrostatic head isn't massive, but it's a good tent. I think a mistake I've made, and I'm not even sure I have, but I think a mistake I've made is that I put these poles up on the outside when I erected it, and looking at the material at the top where it's really dark and reinforced, I've got a feeling they're supposed to be on the inside, so I put them on the inside. The instructions tell you to just push your pole up, it doesn't say where. So I think it's supposed to be on the inside, because it looks, although it's reinforced on the where I did have it, it looks more so on the inside. So that's kind of a guess. So I think that's what you're supposed to do, but I'm not sure. Other than that, yeah, it has got, although there's no, which is what makes it look bigger, there's no inner tent, so I don't get inside a bedroom when I'm in here, but there is actual mesh here. So it does have the ability to seal it off if you want to, but when you're going in and out, I already kicked a wasp out of here while I was setting up. When you're going in and out, obviously you're gonna, in fact that wasp's come back, but I just kicked him out. There he is again. I just kicked him out and he's clearly come back in again. So obviously if you're setting up your equipment and putting it all in there, you're going to get stuff coming in. So like that, like this bug here, sticking a nose in, that one there, that bug there, will come in your tent while you're this one here, while you're trying to do your bits and bobs. So that has the mesh, but the potential for stuff to still come in is there. But small thing, no, a small thing. So but it's good that it has a ground sheet. My last one didn't. Don't poke it. Well, don't you? So yeah, on the whole, I think I needed, it's saggy in certain places, but I think that's down to my not really, when I was doing it, understanding how to pitch it, and I'm only sort of just learning now. But I love these corners here where you've got the solid ridges here in each corner, which gives it a side wall. I think so. I love that design. It's a really good design. Sorry to keep spinning it around. And I think the sagginess, which is less so this side and more so this side, I think that's down to my, also I was trying to make it square. It's not square. The side, it's that traditional tent shape, but the sides, instead of being straight, they come out a little bit with another ridge in the middle. So instead of it going in a straight line here, it comes out with another ridge here that you peg down, and that's why I think it's saggy, because in my head, that's why this bit's saggy, because in my head I was trying to fit a rectangular footprint, where actually when you pull it out, each corner is slightly pointed, which gives you more room. But and that is contributed to the sagginess. That's all down to me, and you could tell because when I put the ground sheet in, the ground sheet's a bit contorted slightly as well, where it's not perfect straight. I can't be bothered to fix that now, because I'm going to sleep here tonight for one night, and that's a lot of faffing around for very little payback. So I'm happy as it is now. And it's a good tent, it's a good size, and I'm amazed that it's you could get, without the stove that I'm going to bring in later, you could get 4 people in here, 3 with bags of room still, quite comfortably. A little unsure, as I said, about that those little guys on the door, because if you pulled on them it would pull the door. I'm not quite sure what to do with that. I've left them saggy at the moment, just sort of the outside, just sort of flapping around. So I don't know. Not quite sure what that's about. It doesn't say on the instructions. It says precious little on the instructions. Right, so I shall get cracking on putting the stove in now. I think this is going to fail before it's even started, because I've just put the burner in. Now, that burner doesn't just come out for camping. We put it in the fireplace in the house. And we use it there in the winter because we like it. It is a portable one. What do you call it? I don't know if you call it a camping one, because the legs fold in and the chimney goes straight to the burner, so you can, and it comes off in sections, all stores inside, so it's just essentially a box. So it's for camping, leisure, whatever. But we, you know, we've got it. We take it in the house. It's a bit worse for wear because it gets used. So I know how this works, what it feels like, what sort of heat it gives off, and I found the flaw straight off the bat, which is, I think, has ended this project before it's even began. So can you tell me what you think is wrong with this? Whoop. There's the burner, there's my chimney. Perhaps if I come around here it would illustrate it a bit better. I don't know how well this comes off, but the point between here and here is minuscule, and there's no foil inner. My last tent, although it failed for other reasons, the last tent had a foil inside. This has got a foil floor, but so without question, without a doubt, when I start putting logs in there, it's going to melt the tent, definitely. Yeah, and that's a long slot I've put in there, so you can move it around a bit. So I could move it, I could probably get away with moving it away a bit further. But I think that, I'm pretty sure that's going to melt the tent. A fair amount of heat comes off of that, as I say, because we use it, so we know how hot it gets. And I can move it a bit more that way, because I made a slot so I could do that. But that still only gives you, you know, that, what's that, 20 centimeters, if that. And I tried angling it in different positions, but at the end of the day, wherever you angle it, it's the same sort of distance away, because you've got to keep the chimney up there. And as I say, I've cut a slot into the, as opposed to a hole, I've cut a slot into the piece of material they give you. It allows me to move it more towards the tent and more away, and as away as I can get it, that's still really close. So I'm not sure whether I should light this or not, because you can't exactly turn it off if you think, oh, it's getting a bit hot. You know, you're done once the flames are going. And I'm worried it's going to burn the tent down, because there is no heat resistance on the inside of the tent. And my last one, it was like a teepee type design that failed, but the whole inside was foil. There was no floor for it like this one. It didn't have a floor, you just had grass, but the whole inside was foil. So I had more confidence that it was going to be all right. And it was further away anyway. But this is right close to the edge, and there's no kind of fireproofing at all. So I don't know what to do. I don't know whether to risk it for a biscuit or say, nah, my tent's going to burn down. So could this be another failure? It kind of, I don't know. I've been having a little think while I've been having a cup of tea, and I've decided to go for it. But what I can do is trying to reduce the amount of heat it packs out. So I was thinking, if I just put one log at a time on and keep it at the heat of one log. It's only a little tent anyway, so it doesn't need like to be, especially in this weather, Don't need to be packing out heat. I don't need to shove hundreds of logs in it in the house because it's only little. I've got like 3 or 4 logs in there at a time, and it does belt out a lot of heat. So I was thinking if I just keep it at 1 log at a time, wait for it to become embers, another log, that the embers should be enough to catch the light the next log, and that should get off a more moderate heat. Still not 100% confident that that's going to work, but I'll take the risk because, you know, I bought the tent to be a hot tent. If it's no good as a hot tent, then it's no good to me at all. I've got tents, I don't need to bring a huge thing out like that every time, as much as I like it. So I thought I'd take the risk and see if I scorch it or burn it down, and we'll see what happens. I'm going to obviously have it going a lot before I actually go to sleep. I'm not going to whack a few logs on while I have a kip and then think, see if that works. I shall start it up before I go to bed, and we'll see what happens. I'll take the risk, all in for entertainment. So I made a change. So this pole I put, oh, it's gone now. That pole, oh, you can see that pole there, I put on the outside, and then I thought, oh, maybe it's supposed to go inside, but when I came in just a minute ago, I knocked it with my barnet and the whole tent collapsed. So who's that?
Linda.
So so now I'm thinking maybe it should have been on the outside, because the design, it's got a roofy bit that comes out on the outside, a little canopy, and that actually holds it in really rock solid. Because oh, hey, that pole goes up there into this canopy bit, so the canopy plus the tent holds it in really sturdily, whereas when I put it on the inside, which is what I was thinking it might have to do, when I put it on here, it wasn't as sturdy, and it kept slipping. Every time I looked in the tent, it was sliding along the tent. So I'm now thinking it should have been, I've left one on the inside because I just can't be bothered to move it, but I put that one on the outside because I'm in and out of that one, and it is much sturdier when you pull it around, whereas on the inside, when I pulled it, it started to slip.
I think it's because out there you can like fix it into the ground.
Well, no, because it just stands on the ground. It doesn't fix into the ground. It's all about the top bit. So I think they're supposed to be on the outside, although this is kind of reinforced on the outside, not so much. But I'm going to use it on the outside because it's better, it's stronger and sturdier. And I've had to pull around the outsides a bit. I've still got a bit of a sagger. I've put closed the hole up. I've closed the hole up because there's a bug in there. There's a bug in the tent. Get her out.
No bug.
I closed the hole up because it started to rain a bit, and I'm not quite ready to. It's not actually that cold, so I'm kind of thinking maybe I should have waited till it was colder. But here's the bed. That little thing in there is not going to be.
I'm in this because this is for -18, and out there it feels like -10 for me.
Wimp. So that's how close it's going to be to the fire, and I wouldn't want it any closer than that. And that makes it suddenly a one-person tent, because as you can see there, you need a fair old gap between the sleeping pad and the burner. So you could just about squeeze another person down there, but they'd be on the burner. So
yeah. You don't want them to burn.
It's one of those funny things. Without that burner, it's a 3-man tent. With the burner, suddenly it becomes one. I said I was drunk. I don't know what I bought it, and I don't know what it said on the instructions. Shh, yeah. So I don't know what it said on the instructions about how many man tent it is, but from my looking at it, it's a 1 if you've got a burner. If you don't want to use a burner, it's 3, because there's bags of room. I mean, it's only about the sleeping. Once you put the sleeping pad in, you can see you can't get another pad there, but you've got all this space down here. Down, yeah, where I'm sitting. There's all this. This is all. It's like I don't know, two sleeping pads width, and 3/4 two sleeping pad widths, but about 3/4 sleeping pad length of space, which is massive. For one person, that's huge, but it's all about trying to keep away from the burner. So I could easily fit my table in here, You know, I don't know if you watch my channel a lot, I've got this little silver table I always bring with me because it's handy inside on. It'd easily fit in here with loads of space. I'd easily get my little chair in here. I have a foldable chair that sits quite low. That would sit in here easy. I'd have all my luxuries in here. As a one-man tent, it's huge. You know, you can stand up in it. You're obviously bending over, but you can stand up in it. You're not having to crouch. You can stand with straight legs up in it. So there's loads of room. As a one-man tent, there's loads of room, and it packs down incredibly small. I imagine this hydrostatic head's going to be not very much because it is thin. So I imagine that's part of the weight. So it's a massive tent for a very small size and weight. So I'm pleased with it in that respect. I am a little concerned about it melting and burning the tent down. So we will see. I've brought some logs in from the house because as I say, we used to burn in the house. So I filled up a bag of logs. I specifically chose cheapy ones. I bought a bag of logs for £5. I specifically chose cheapy ones because they're small, really tiny little logs. Because the cheap ones aren't big logs, they're tiny little things. The idea being that hopefully I can control it and not have it super boiling hot is the plan. I don't have it super boiling hot because I put in one log at a time or two thin ones at a time and allow a very slow cooler heat. We'll see how it goes. I'm quite pleased that there's no condensation build-up. It's been chucking it down rain outside, so I've only just gone outside and opened the little chimney hole flap. So it's been raining a lot, but it's stayed nice and dry in here. I've left the vents open, no rain's come in. Those big vents I showed you earlier, so it's been good. It's getting a bit chilly in here, so I'm going to light the fire now. I'm going to start with the kindling. I'm not going to put a log on. I need to see how hot this gets, and we'll see if this is a no-go or not. That's the fire essentially going, but I haven't put any logs in yet to see what sort of heat comes off of that. Comes off of it with the just the kindling. And if I get a bit scared, then I'll have to let it die down and leave it at that. But let's see what happens, shall we? So the heat coming off of that is quite spectacular. In terms of yeah, how much you can put in, how hot you can get it. You know, I've put a couple of really thin slivers because it was cheap wood. I was putting a couple of thin slivers like that, you know, not proper big logs. So all I've got in there is the kindling and a couple of slithers, and it's getting quite hot. There's quite a massive amount of heat being produced. And I feel here this is getting very, very hot, very hot. There particularly, it's really super hot. So yeah, nothing's caught fire yet, but I mean there, that's unbelievably hot. You know, no matter what heater I use, whatever I buy, you know, this pole here is creating a massive amount of heat. I think the heat mostly is off this tube. Massive amount of heat coming off of that. So it's not like I can put it down to perhaps the type of heater I've got, the burner. Maybe it's, you know, oh, it's too high. Because still this tube is going to, now the heat coming off this tube is incredible, so it's still going to make this super hot. So, you know, is the material already, fire retardant material, even though it doesn't look like it is. I don't know, we'll see. I'm going to let it die down so it doesn't get any worse. We'll see. Oop, light. So it's been going a while now, and I've had to let it die right down because the heat coming off it is incredible. So there's a little bit of flame, but it's kind of basically almost embers, because the heat is just unbelievable. And I keep feeling the side of the tent, and it is really super hot, but it doesn't seem to be breaking down or melting or, you know, getting more elasticity in it. So it feels okay, except for it's boiling hot. So maybe the material is fireproof material, not your normal. It does feel a little bit different than, say, your normal tent. Yeah, now you hear that as a sort of a plasticky-ness to it. So maybe it is, the whole tent is made of fireproof type material. It's just that the last one had a sort of a silver lining inside it, and I thought that you kind of had to have that. But now I've sort of been investigating, I think it is actually maybe the fireproof material. It doesn't feel like your average type tent material. But it's so hot in here. I mean, admittedly, it's, you know, we're not in the winter. I had to bring my phone actually to take a photo. I forgot. Yeah, we're not in the winter, so it's probably a little bit of overkill anyway. But that's nice, isn't it? Isn't that a nice view? No fire going. You can see it's just embers really, because it's so much heat coming off of it. For this tiny little tent, that's all you need really. Just let it die down to embers. So I don't think I'm going to need this much. This bag here is full of firewood. I'm probably not even going to need that much for the whole night if I'm going to just basically be burning it down to embers all night. I don't think I need to burn it like I do when I'm in the house and I put like loads and loads of logs in it. For this tiny area, just leaving it as embers is more than enough. Which is so it was a useful experiment. I've learned a lot. I've learned how much wood I need. I've learned that the tent isn't going to catch fire. I've learned that just allowing it to almost burn away still produces enough heat to warm the tent. Might have to go a bit higher in the more sort of minus temperatures, but it seems sufficient enough. There's a massive amount of heat coming off of it, even without the full flames going off. So that's this has been a good experiment. I'm a little unsure on my own. This tent is huge. As you saw earlier, I had the bed up one side. I was loads of space. But with two people, I don't know how I'd get two people in here. If I wanted to go with my partner, for example, because you can't put another bed next to this one. You can't put another bed here. There's no room, and if you could, you'd be right up against the heater, so that wouldn't work. But I was saying that this isn't a square tent. This tent is a rectangular tent. This bit here is like a little ridge that's sewn into the material. Each corner has a bit of a ridge, like a bit of pole sewn into the material to give it rigidity in the corners, which is a really good feature. But it's not rectangular. This bit here is actually pushed further out. So this, although this is the middle of the side, it actually isn't straight. It comes out a bit and then goes back a bit like that into a point. So it makes me wonder if, I was just discussing it earlier, if it's possible to actually get the sleeping pads go across the tent as opposed to up the length of it. So instead of it going up the length like that, I wonder if I can get it going across, and then maybe I can get side by side going that way, and that way you'd be miles away from the I don't know. We can lie down and fit in there, but whether a sleeping pad would go in that, I don't know. So if there's two of us staying in here, I think that would cause complications. But one of us in here, there's more space than you could possibly imagine, and it folds down smaller and lighter than certainly my Van Gogh Hydra 200, which is just a little, much smaller than this two-man tent, and not made of, you know, supposedly it's made of lighter material. I don't know. Yeah, so a success, but I don't know how to fit 2 people in here. But the actual tent itself, this experiment in the garden, was quite a useful test. It's made me understand exactly what I need to bring with me, how much space I've got, and how to use the heater when I'm in here. I bet I've just thought of up there there's a light, because there's a little hook for the light. I think next time that pole was going to be on the outside. I've left it inside because I couldn't be bothered to move it. But there's a hook for the light, sorry, but there's no hook anywhere else. So there's not one up that end, there's one up that end. So it's very dark, it's very light up one end and very dark up the other, because there's nowhere to hang anything. You can't hang anything in the middle. So yeah, that's a small thing, but that's about the only criticism I've got. It's a really good tent, and I'm really pleased with it. It rained all night long, so the tent got a proper good workout, and as you can see, it's I banged it a bit to sort of get some of the drips off, but it's held up well against the weather. Got a nice bit of sun on it to help dry it out. It sagged a little bit, but I think that's as much my fault as anything else. And the ground's not level. I was saying earlier about one side sagging more than the other. That's all down to the fact that the ground's not level, I discovered. So there's nothing I can do about that. But the actual tent, it's been bone dry inside, so it's had a really good workout. And it's quite thick material, so I think it's made really thick to be more fireproof. But it doesn't seem especially heavy though when it's all together, so I guess because it doesn't have an inner tent perhaps. But no, it's done really well, and I'm really pleased with it. I didn't stay in it last night. There's condensation inside, but like every tent in the world has that. There's no getting out of it. So there is condensation a little bit built up on the inside, so no, it's held up really well and done really well, and I'm really pleased with it. So I was going to actually light a fire this morning, make a brew or something, but as you can see, the sun is glaring down, and it'll be lighting a fire on a really hot day. So I think I'm done with the experimenting, because I'm not going to light a fire in the middle of the day when it's boiling. Not in the middle of the day, in a really hot morning. So it's when we've hit autumn, but it's still really super warm. I mean, it rained all night, but it's really hot this morning. So I was gonna try and take advantage of the really cold morning, go, ooh, stick the fire going, but it's just too hot. It'd be a waste of time. There's no point. So so I'm done. I've experimented. It's worked well. It's worked beyond my expectations, and the worry of buying something I have no idea what it was like is now gone. So I think it's an all-round success. So I will be using this in the future. It's autumn now, and it's not just autumn, it's really hot, so it's going to have an outing when the temperatures in the middle of winter drop and I get some really cold weather. Regarding putting it away, the good thing about this tent is that it has a separate fly sheet. So on other tents, when you're putting it away, you've got to, even if the top's dry, you might have the ground sheet, not fly sheet, the ground sheet inside might be muddy and wet still. But with this being separate, you can pull it out separately and hang it up separately. And you only got to worry about the top of the tent being dry, which is a massive advantage as well. So but yeah, no, I'm really pleased with it. I'm pleased with how it worked out. It's a good size, a good tent. It works really well, and as far as I'm concerned at the moment, this is my hot tent, my winter hot tent. My two only issues with it are the fact that it's massive and tons of space for one person, but it's figuring out if it's for two people, it's figuring out where that second person will go, because with that burner in there, the stove in there, you know, I don't know where they would go. I don't know where they would fit. So yeah, so I don't know. That's my only issue. And most of the time I'm going to be on my own anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But if that did happen, it would be like, I don't know how I'd do this. I don't know how I'd fit another person in. But on your own, it's like more space you can possibly imagine. It's a completely different kettle of fish. You take the burner out and you could get 3 people comfortably in there. That's that big. The second issue I said too is that it's not very stealth. It's quite a big tent. It folds down tiny. It really does. Smaller than some of my 2-man backpacker tents. You know, even smaller than my 2-man backpacker tents. But it's big. It has a big footprint when it's up, so it's not very. In some of the places I squeeze into, I've got very small spaces to squeeze into because I'm trying to squeeze in and hide in the woods, but this is very big, so yeah. But you know, the winter's not here yet, so I've got plenty of time to suss it out. So I'm going to sign off with it on a happy note. That worked out really well. It was 70 something pound on temu, and it ended up being a really good tent. I'm really pleased with it. So jobs are good, and see you around.